Today we're going to talk about standard deviation. So the first thing that we want to understand is the word variance. So the word variance refers to taking the sum of the differences of your data set and the means, and you're going to square them. So you're taking the sum of the squares of the differences, and then you're going to divide them by the number of values that you have. But before we do an example, I want to pull your attention towards this mu symbol. So here, the letter mu, or the Greek letter mu, refers to the mean. We also know the symbol for mu in the calculator. Mean actually means the x with the bar over it. They are the same thing, okay? Mu and x bar are the same thing. They both mean average or mean, okay? N means the number of data values like normal. So an explanation of the variance formula, what you want to do is, in order to find the variance by hand, you want to calculate the mean. Once you do that, you're going to subtract the mean from each data value, and then you're going to square the differences. Once you square the differences, you're going to add those squares up, and then you're going to divide by the number of values that you have. Okay? So as you can see here, it says the variance is the average of the squares of the distances from the mean. It's just a summary of what it is. The next thing we have is standard deviation. So the population standard deviation of a data set is equal to, as you can see here, this portion under that radical symbol, that portion under that symbol is actually variance, okay? So your standard deviation is nothing but the square root of the variance, okay? It's as simple as that. So let's look at an example. So the first thing that I want to do here is I understand that I have 5 numbers. So I'm going to list those out for the x because those are my data values. The next thing that I do is I need to subtract my mean from my x value. Well, I don't even know the mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up all of these numbers. So I have 3 plus 12 plus 8 plus 15 plus 7. And I end up getting that my sum of those numbers is 45. So mu is the same thing as x bar. So I get 45, and I'm going to divide it by 5, which means that my mean is 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 9 from all of those data values. So I'm going to get -6 here, 3, -1, 6, and then -2. That is what I get when I subtract 9 from all of those numbers. The next thing I want to do is I want to square these numbers. Remember, to square something means that you're multiplying it by itself. So -6 squared, or -6 times -6 is a positive 36. 3 squared is 9. -1 squared is 1. 6 squared is 36. -2 squared is 4. And if I add up all of these numbers, because of course I need to have the sum, remember that summation, that sigma symbol, my sum is 86. So now I can then plug in what I have. So my variance is equal to the sum of the squares of the differences. The sums of the squares of the differences is 86, and I'm going to divide that by the 5 numbers that I had. And if I do 86 divided by 5, I get 17.2. So this is my variance. Okay, that is my variance. Standard deviation is nothing but the square root of the variance. So here I have the square root of 17.2, and the square root of 17.2, excuse me, is 4.15. Okay, so of course we already know that the calculator can give us all of this information with no problem. So in order to get the calculator to give us the information, what we have to do is, of course, you would type everything in into your L1 or your L2. Once you do that, you will then do your one variable statistics. And once you do that, it's going to look like this. So you put your numbers in like that, of course, then you go to stat, go over to calc, one variable statistics, calculate. As you can see here, we said in the beginning that our mean was 9. You see that that X bar is equal to 9, so we know that we're right. Okay. Also, what you see is your N. Your N is your total number of numbers. And then finally, we see here that in the calculator, we have the different symbols that we have. So let's write a little note down here of the notation. So remember, mu in a formula is the same thing as X bar in the calculator. We have the sideways P, as I like to call it, which is the lowercase Greek letter of sigma. This lowercase Greek letter of sigma here is your standard deviation, but in the calculator, it denotes it as sigma with an X on it. I'm gonna write it a little neater. So as you see here, if we look at right above the N equals 5, that's the sigma X right there. And that is 4.15 if we round to 3 sig figs. So we get the same exact answer in the calculator as we do by hand. Okay, so make sure to please write this down, that this means your mean. This is your standard deviation. Now you should notice that on the calculator, it does not give you the variance, which is your standard deviation squared. So all you have to do is, if you want to find your variance using the calculator, take the standard deviation and then you square it. So I would have to take 1.15 and then I would square it. So 1.15 squared is about 17.2, 3 sig figs. So that's how you will find the variance if you were using the calculator. If you have any questions, please write them down so that I can clarify later. Thank you.